Hey guys, welcome to DreamCoin, where we show you how to invest for a better tomorrow. My name's Tyler, and today we're going to be doing a quick update on Senseonics and their interesting price action that they've been seeing lately, as well as going over their previous earnings report since it's been a little bit since we've last covered them. So some of the key points that we had coming out of their earnings report when they dropped it recently was that they were making progress towards increasing awareness of their product, really, because they're not in a huge market share, obviously, as of right now, compared to Dexcom and some of their other bigger competition in the space, but they are doing more of a focus on advertising and marketing as a whole. And this comes in where they had announced a partnership with Essentia for doing some of those different things to help with reducing the out-of-pocket costs to diabetes patients. This is going to allow for a lot more people to be aware of them, because a lot of people just don't have the funds, unfortunately, to have proper care and maintenance of their different conditions, particularly with diabetes. And that's been a big issue in the United States specifically. While this is also something that's been going on in Europe with their product, they are expanding that more in North America, which is going to be great for their company as a whole in the long run. As we discussed in our last video, they are still seeking an active review from the FDA for their 180-day EverSense platform. This would go into long-term, where they're still seeking to see if it's viable to get a 365-day technology out. This is a bit of an older article, but I'm sure a lot of people are a bit newer to the stock, so this is just looking at where they had FDA approval to continue with their promised clinical study to see the efficacy of a 365-day sensor potentially as an option down the line. I would expect this to be 1 to 2 years out minimum for anything significant coming with this, but an approval of the 180-day sensor would expedite that process of getting that approved when that does come, I would imagine. If we look at their second quarter 2021 results, their total revenue for the quarter was pretty significant as compared to 2020, where just the US revenue alone was almost 4 times as much as the entire revenue they made in the second quarter of 2020. And then they made about $2.3 million more outside of the United States. Their gross profit increased by $1.54 million year over year, and this extended them to be positive as compared to last year. Although they had a increase in their efforts for marketing and advertising, they revised their strategy and were able to decrease their expenses by $1.5 million from where they previously were at. And they increased their research and development expenses, which is pretty important for what they're doing with their studies right now, and that came out to about $7.11 million that they had put into that. The most significant thing to report on their finances was a net loss increase of about $172.8 million, and $169.4 million of this was from other expenses related to non-cash accounting charges. And if you're not familiar with accounting, non-cash transactions can be anything from depreciation of your current assets or unrealized losses or gains that just didn't come to fruition during the year. Anything that could come down as a write-off. Basically, a lot of different things that are used to kind of offset taxes and different ways to refine the balance sheet when you're looking at finances. So this isn't very much a concern for me, because there's a lot of different ways that companies use this to kind of set themselves up better in the future. And this could have just been a move to basically get some of that realization off of whether some of their stuff was depreciating or just not doing them any value at the current time. They're expecting global net revenue to be between $12 and $15 million for the entirety of 2021. And as we had referenced before, they have an emphasis on not only expanding on the Essentia commercialization and collaboration agreement, but also going for that possible FDA approval here fairly soon. And going all the way as back as my last video, I had expected it to be roughly around September where we'd be hearing news of this. So hopefully we are getting some information on everything going on in the next couple weeks. Now, as we look at the stock price action, basically for the last couple weeks, they've been on a steady incline since $3 roughly. And they've been testing a resistance that I've had on them for a little bit now, where 385 has been seeing a significant amount of, just resistance for them in the past even as well. If we look back as far as 5 years, 3.85 has been roughly a very big testing point for them anytime they break out. You see 3.85 here led to some of these rises over 4, even in the last year since February. And this sets them up to where if they can break this, we could possibly be seeing a run up to where they could hit over $4 again before the end of 2021 and possibly even before the FDA approval stuff. What's going to be interesting to watch on the stock price action is the fact that we have been seeing renewed interest in people coming into the stock, probably because of the catalyst of the FDA stuff going on. Their finances look good to me, and they have a lot of upside for the company in the near future. If you reference back to my previous video on them, I did have a price target over $100 on them at some point if they can get their 180-day and 365-day sensors out, and they end up taking some market share from Dexcom and some of those other bigger companies. What's going to be interesting to see in this price action shorter term is if they can hold this 385 area and make a push higher to test around 4 to 405. That's been another significant resistance for them in the past over the last few years. If they can test that 405 area before we get to where they're doing FDA decisions and everything, this could set them up to hit new highs for the year on the stock. The other thing to keep in mind is that if they repetitively test this 385 area and move down, we have a very large window long term where they could fall as far back down to $3 essentially. So this could be a very long drop if you've been in this long, but what we are seeing on the shorter term is more realistically, we're probably going to hold around this 340 to 350 area. And then this bigger channel is going to be more of that long-term channel we're reviewing if they can't hold support at this 385 area. I think going into September, we have a very good chance of seeing this going into $4 and possibly new highs. They are a company that's left me very optimistic with where they're going. And I don't see from the data that they've given and some of the news they've been putting out, the FDA rejecting their device. Diabetes is a very large, problem in the United States specifically, but also globally. And so this would allow for a new kind of way to monitor that for people in a more accessible manner than having to go in more frequently to your physician. I think both short-term and long-term, we've got some pretty good price action we're going to be watching. So it's going to be interesting to see how they play out by the end of the year. But I'm going to make a bold case and say that if the news is received well by the FDA and everything goes crazy with this, I think we're going to see an easy like $10 to $20 area right around that time if it seems that they're going to get approved. If that doesn't become the case and for whatever reason interest just drops off, we could just be seeing very minimal movement where it's just sitting around right above in an area where it would give them new highs like $5 to $8. But I do think that approval would give them a nice jump into double digits for the first time. I just want to do that quick update and give you guys my opinions on the price action lately on Senseonics, because I know a lot of you are following them and I've been following them for a while now on the channel as well. In general, I'm looking to rotate back to a lot of the stocks that I've previously covered on the channel and give some updates, because I know a lot of people kind of want to know the direction of everything going on. So I'll be looking at other biotech companies like Pavem and things like that here in the near future for people as well. And obviously, as we get closer to that FDA decision, I'll be doing more coverage on Senseonics as well. Maybe do a couple live streams of the price action going around with that time going on. So that'll be something fun to look forward to for everybody. Other than that, that's going to do it for me on this video today, guys. And I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.